welcome back. I want to welcome our guests, Kiwanis guests, and elected officials and newly elected officials and dignitaries from around the county. We're glad you're here today. This is one of our special events Manatee, our Bradenton Kiwanis does. I also want to welcome the Leadership Manatee class. Could you guys stand up, please? Welcome, Leadership Manatee. We're glad you're here. Hope some of you or most of you consider joining the club. And that's my pitch. We need to dispense with a couple business items with the club. So, as per our bylaws, the club announced 14 days ago the vacancy of a board member on the board. The governance committee recommended Dan Cacciati to fill the vacancy. There were no further nominations from the floor. So today I'm entertaining a motion to cast a unanimous ballot for Dan Cacciati to fill the vacant. First by Dave Bassett, second by Bill Edwards. And Angie, how you doing? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Danny, we have a meeting tomorrow. Which brings me to my next announcement. The board meeting has been moved to tomorrow due to next week's Thanksgiving. It'll be at Pier 22 at noon. Any club member can attend. If you would please get with Dave Grantham if you want to attend, so we make sure we have enough room. Next item is our Kids Against Hunger food packaging event, December 1st, over at the Ag Center. We hope most of our Kiwanians can make it. If you have not already signed up, please do. Also, the same day in the afternoon from 1 to 5 is our annual Boys and Girls Club Christmas tree sales. That is also online if you would please sign up for that as well. The Salvation Army Angel Tree is on the piano in the lobby. If we could please fill those wishes of those Christmas angels from the Salvation Army, that would be great. All the gifts need to be back by December the 4th. And don't forget to RSVP for our annual Christmas party by December 4th as well. You can turn your RSVP into Jan Shaberg. Right, I got that on here. And the last thing, right here on the top, no meeting next week due to Thanksgiving, and we hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. At this time, I'd like to call up our Kiwanis Chair for our Agriculture Committee, Brenda Rogers, to give us today's program.
Good afternoon. This is my very favorite day of the year, and it's because all of you come to this party. And but we are really happy to celebrate Farm City Week once again in Manatee County. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Farm City Week was established by Kiwanis International about 60 plus a few years ago. And this club has continued to honor that tradition, to celebrate, and to provide some funds to help it along its way. So we're grateful for that. You have on your table our 2018 official placemat, and on that are some agriculture facts and information. Citrus Then and Now is our theme, and I'll also say that the centerpieces are for you to take with you, and many of you have bags on your chairs to help you do that. So in case I forget at the end, the centerpieces are for you. Our President Brett has introduced several of our individuals that are here today that are joining us in this celebration. And I'm just going to ask first if our elected officials, if you would stand so that you can be recognized. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Then we have our Farm City Week Committee. If you serve on the Farm City Week Committee, please stand. Thank you so much. Okay, we've already had our Leadership Manatee class stand, but I'll remind you that tomorrow is our agriculture tour for Leadership Manatee, and we'll see you bright and early. It's supposed to rain, so please dress accordingly and bring your boots and your rain gear. And but we're going to have fun. We got some great stops for you and a fabulous lunch, and we'll have a great day. So I'll see you tomorrow for that. I would, at this time, like to recognize our past Agriculturalist of the Year, those who are with us today. First, I'd like to introduce Eugene Mixon, who was inducted in 1989. Next, we have Richard Alberg, inducted in 1998. Ralph Garrison, inducted in 2003. Betty Glassburn, inducted in 2007. Yours truly, inducted in 2009, Brenda Rogers. Thank you. Buck Strickland, inducted in 2011. Buddy Keene, inducted in 2014. Commissioner Priscilla Trace, inducted in 2015. Mitchell John, last year, inducted 2017. And at the end of our program, you'll know who's going into the Agriculture Hall of Fame as the Agriculturalist of the Year for 2018. We'll do that before we leave here today. So thank you all for being here and being part of this celebration. And now I will introduce our speaker, and y'all be really nice to him. He's my boss. And so I'm really happy to have Dr. Nick Place, who was named the Dean and Director for the University of Florida Extension in September of 2012. Dr. Place is a professor in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, and he oversees Florida's Cooperative Extension Service, which includes offices just like ours in the fairgrounds in Palmetto in all 67 counties. There's also extension programs in multiple research and education centers, special initiatives and programs, and in academic departments. And so he has served as our dean since 2007. His background, he grew up on a dairy farm in Pennsylvania, which gave me a strong connection with him, with my dairy farm background. And he's active in 4-H and worked in that field as an agent. And then he went back to school and got his PhD and his master's and his PhD at Penn State, and then was a department director at the University of Florida for a number of years before going to the University of Maryland as an associate dean. And then we were very fortunate to have him come back home to Florida to lead our team. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Dr. Place to come and share some comments with you, and then we'll move forward in our program. Dr. Place.
Good afternoon, everybody. It gives me great pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. And you need to know how much Brenda Rogers talks up this Kiwanis Club. I've known Brenda for quite some time, and she has been putting plugs in about this club and how great it is and all the good things you do. And she's been after me for a while to get down here to speak to you all. And it really gives me great pleasure to be with you here today. Now, Brenda knows me well enough. I could probably talk for an hour, but I don't think we have that much time. So I just got a few things that I do want to share with you, kind of from my seat of some things that I see going on around the state in regards to our extension work that we do. But before I get into that, I also want to reiterate just a couple of things that Brenda said. I grew up on a small farm up in northeast Pennsylvania where really there's nothing there other than cows and trees and rocks and just a few people. But we also did a Farm City celebration there in that very rural county. We used to get out about 600 or so people out to this event, and it was a big deal for the city folks as well as the rural folks that were in that area. It's important that we do these kind of things because I truly feel that too many folks take our agriculture and our food system for granted. And that's why it's important that we bring together those that are in production agriculture, as well as many of us that are consumers of the great products and the great food system that we have here in the United States. And we need to kind of step back and reflect upon that. And at this time of year, when we're in this time of Thanksgiving, isn't that a really good time that we really are thankful for this great country that we're in, and also the tremendous food system, the safe and sustainable food system that we have here in the great United States. Just a few facts and figures to throw at you, just to give you a perspective about our agriculture system here in the United States. About 200 years ago, that was before anybody in this room was around, right? About 90% of our population was in rural areas and in actual production agriculture. Just imagine that. Today, we are less than 2% of our population involved in production agriculture. That enables people like you and me to be out there and do things such as local, federal, state government, things in relation to medicine, religion, the arts, many other things that you and I do on a day-to-day basis. This 2% of the population feeds and clotheth each and every day. In the United States, there's about 2 million farms that we have, and we've actually seen a little bit of a decrease since 2008, and they farm about 900 million acres. An interesting fact, too, is looking at the level of production of today's farmers. One farmer today feeds about 160 of us. And then going back just a little bit in time, in 1960, one farmer fed 26 people. And in 1940, one farmer fed 19 people. So let that sink into you about the level of productivity, efficiency that we have in our agriculture sector today. Agriculture is as the United States' #1 export, and we generate $100 billion annually, and about 24% of what we produce here in the United States is exported. Agriculture also employs about 24 million American workers, which amounts to about 17% of our workforce. So that's pretty significant as well as you think about the size and scale of our economy. Here in Florida, we all know that our #1 industry is tourism, right? #2 is agriculture, and I really think that a lot of people really don't understand that. The economic engine of agriculture here in this state amounts to $127 billion when you look at direct and indirect income and economic benefit of agriculture. And that is done by and produced by 50,000 farms that we have across the great United States. Even in Miami-Dade County and Palm Beach County, those two counties are like in the top 15 in the United States for ag production. Way too many people do not understand that. Just a couple more facts and figures to throw at you. It's interesting to note that today, on average, our farmers and ranchers receive less than 19 cents of every dollar that you and I spend on food. Back in 1950, that was about 50 cents. So just think of that erosion of how much of that food dollar that you and I spend goes back to the farmers and ranchers that we see around this area of Manatee County and the surrounding counties. That also leads me to the point that that you and I spend about 10% of our disposable income on food. So let that sink in. The tremendous meal that we had here today and the things that we'll have tonight when you and I go home or when we go to the restaurants or whatever, only 10% of our income goes towards food production or our food that you and I eat each and every day. And it's interesting to look at some other countries where in France that amounts to 18% of their disposable income. In Japan, that's 26%. Or you look at India, where it's 51% of their disposable income. My wife and I had the opportunity to work in Poland in the mid-1990s, and when we were there, it was about 35%. And you certainly see a whole different kind of economy that's going on in some of these countries where a person has to spend so much of their income that they have just on food. So now that leads me into, so why are we so productive and so efficient? Well, the first thing I've got to say is growing up on a farm and knowing many, many farmers in a number of states where I have worked, farmers are probably the most resilient, hardworking, and entrepreneurial people that I know. They never take no for an answer, and they're always figuring out a way to get something done and do something better. And I just love that spirit, that entrepreneurial mindset of our ag producers around this great country. But I also would be remiss if I didn't say how much that our land-grant university system has played into that as well. Going back about to the 1860s is when we started our land-grant university system across the great United States. And that legislation was signed by my favorite president, Abraham Lincoln, during probably one of the most difficult times in our nation's history. Think about what was going on back in the 1860s, where we had division between the North and the South, we had slavery, we had a really high population out on farms. Probably it was about 85% of the population was out on farms at that point in time. And there was so much hatred going on. Sound a little bit familiar in some cases. But during that time, our country passed one of the most sweeping legislations to start the land-grant university system that you and I are appreciative of today. I started universities like the University of Florida, Florida A&M, and the many others that we have here around this country. And the purpose of these land-grant universities was to bring education and research, and in just a little while, the extension part of what we do, out to the common man. Because you see, up until that point in time, the only people that had an opportunity for higher education were those maybe in medicine, religion, law, and things like that. But folks like many of us here in food production, engineering, tactical sciences, really had no opportunity for higher education. And that was what was so monumental about that starting of the land-grant university system back in the 1860s. So that was chugging along and doing well, but in the early 1900s, visionary folks thought, okay, so we have these institutions of higher education, but how do we get that out and connect that to the broader population? And that's when extension started at that point in time. So really our job in extension is to take the latest research and knowledge that we generate at our land grants, not only at the University of Florida, but then also through the national network that we have, and get that out and help people apply that to their farms, their businesses, and their families, and their youth through the 4-H program. And there's been such great success of that over time that I really believe that has led to the tremendous agriculture efficiency that you and I appreciate each and every day. I will also say that I think in light of some of the big issues that we're facing today, as you think about things such as our food system, water quality and quantity, red tide issues. Where's my commissioner that I was talking with before? Yeah, there we go. Health issues. Let me park on health for a minute. As you think about the health issues facing our society today related to diabetes, heart disease, obesity, other things like that, it's a major, major issue that we have related to health. And then when you think about some of these big issues, to me, extension today is just as important or more so than it was back in the early 1900s. Let me give you an example related to agriculture and food systems. So some of you probably, I know my extension people have heard me talk about this. As you think about the food challenge that we have in front of us, where today in the world we have about 7 billion people. In the very near future, like in about by 2050, many of us will be here by that point in time, we're projected to have just under 10 billion people. So that's more than 2 billion more people on the face of this earth that we'll have by 2050 versus where we are right now. That's not that far away. Give you an idea about our great state of Florida, right now we are just getting close to about 22 million people in this state. And by 2050, when that rolls around, we'll be at 30 million or more. We have 1,000 people a day moving into this great state. So when you think about that, when you think about this increasing population worldwide and also here in Florida, how are we going to have a safe, sustainable food system that feeds these people well into the future? And this is not just about an increase in population, but also lay on top of that some of the factors that go into that. In some of these developing countries, as they get more income, their food choices will change, become more similar to what we are here. They'll be looking for higher quality foods, more proteins, more dairy, meat, and things like that. So that's going to change. We're going to run into more issues with rural-urban interface. And how do we deal with those issues where we have to set aside quality farmland that is able to produce the kind of food that we need today? We'll also think about the tremendous pests and diseases that we have around this country. Here in our great state of Florida, we are blessed with one new pest or disease every month. Let that sink in. And a lot of that is because of the great climate we have, but then also the ports and everything that's kind of coming in and out. And that's why at the University of Florida we have such a large entomology, nematology, plant pathology unit that really tries to stay on top of that. And by the way, I need to point out that our entomology department was recently ranked #1 in the world. And that is a great accomplishment. On top of that, think about the food waste that we have. About 40% of what we produce is actually wasted. And isn't that a shame? So that involves everything we do from production, where things might not meet criteria, all the way up through the market and processing, as well as what you and I throw away each and every day. Think about how many times we've bought bananas, let's say, put them on a shelf, and they've gone the other way. Now, fortunately, my wife likes to make banana bread and those kind of things, but how many times does that end up in the garbage? That's just one example. So I've just kind of skimmed the surface of some of the issues out there related to our food system. We have to have proactive research, teaching, and extension efforts that will help us address this huge issue that's facing us right now in relation to how we're going to have a safe, sustainable food system well into the future. That's going to take all of us working together to ensure that we are investing in these kind of things related to research and extension efforts. And I know we have a number of elected officials here today, and I want to extend my great appreciation for the partnership that we have at the local, state, and federal level that in relation to the work that we do as the land grant, and particularly with what we do here in Manatee County and their surrounding counties with our extension program. We're blessed with a really strong extension program here. And with that, I'd like my extension people to please stand up so we can recognize them. So thank you for all that you do. I really appreciate that. So I'm kind of getting down on time, right? Okay, I'm getting the sign here. So let me just kind of bring this all together and say that there are a lot of challenges in front of us today as a country and as a state. But I would also say that the more that we can do collectively and really have this focus on what really needs to be done and how we can address some of these big issues that are out there in a collective way, and make sure that the broader public understands what needs to be done around some of these big issues that I touched upon. I think that's how we can really make a difference, and that's how we can ensure a great, strong society moving forward. And again, with that, I just thank you for this opportunity for being here with you this afternoon, and thank you again for your support of our land grant system and extension in particular. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Place. In just a second, I'm going to introduce the chair of the Manatee County Farm City Week, but I'm going to hold off that for just 1 second because I want to recognize Mr. Ralph Garrison, who served as our chairman, I think forever. I'm not really sure how many years, but Ralph is not our chairman this year, but I do want to just say thank you to you for all your years of service in front of this group. I know they're going to. Thank you, Ralph. Okay. The old guard is kind of slowing down a little bit, and so I'm happy to introduce Patty Keenfried, who's the chair of our Farm City Week Committee. And a lot of us are excited about Patty taking the leadership because she represents the next generation, and she's doing a great job and is going to come and give just a few comments.
Thank you, Brenda. Well, first, I'd like to thank Dr. Place for being our speaker today, and to Brenda for always coordinating this wonderful luncheon to honor our agriculturists of the year every year. I'd also like to thank the Bradenton Kiwanis Club for all of your funding and for supporting us year to year for many years and hopefully for many years to come. We've had a great Farm City Week so far. We've got a few more things on our lineup with our Leadership Manatee Tour tomorrow. Make sure I'm wearing comfortable shoes, no high heels. And we will end the week, well, then Thursday we'll have our Ag Ventures, where we'll have 1,000 third graders at the Manatee County Fairgrounds. And then we will have the Agriculturist of the Year luncheon on Friday, which will honor my mom being inducted into the Ag Hall of Fame this year. And then also Saturday, we'll end it with the Beef Prospect Show and workshop at the Manatee County Fairgrounds. So without further ado, I get to announce this year's Outstanding Agriculturalist. When farmers found a new pest or disease that they did not know how to treat, they consulted the county extension agent, or this year's 2018 Manatee County Outstanding Agriculturist. According to Dr. Phyllis Gilreath, former vegetable agent with the Manatee County Extension Service, when there were new infestations of pests and diseases affecting Manatee County farmers, she relied on him for information regarding the scope and magnitude of the problem. I was trying not to get emotional on this one. Our recipient was born in Manatee County and graduated from Palmetto High School in 1966. After high school, he joined the U.S. Air Force and served his country until 1970. Upon returning to Palmetto, he established a local lawn and garden center where he gave free advice to public about the care of their yards and gardens. He worked with the Manatee County Extension and the Florida A&M 1890s Small Farms Extension Program, and with the program demonstration gardens for most of his professional career. He served on the IFAS Extension Vegetable Advisory Committee for over 30 years. He has served on the Farm City Week Committee since I roped him into it. and helped establish the Tomato Festival in Palmetto. He joined others in our community to establish the Palmetto July 4th activities, including trying to climb a greased pole. He served many years as the director of the Manatee River Fair Association and was recognized as Emeritus Director upon his retirement. He strongly believes in the power of the youth and works with 4-H and FFA members to help improve their programs. He is an active member of the Parish United Methodist Church. He is involved in the Palmetto Rotary Club and the Palmetto Business Association. He was a salesman. He served for 11 years. His career with Helena is marked with many awards for his excellent customer service and responsiveness to the agriculture industry. He brings a can-do attitude to everything he gets involved with. In case you have not guessed, the 2018 Manatee Agriculturist of the Year is John Hamilton. He is married to Patricia Parham Hamilton. They are the parents of 3 beautiful daughters, Shelby, Carly, and Jenna, and they have 5 grandchildren. His wife Patricia and daughter Shelby and 2 of her sons are here today, Jeb and Reed. If you will please come up and get your award. Andy used to be my neighbor across the pasture.
Oh, man. You got me. You got me.
You want to say a couple
Thank you.
words?
Yes, just a couple. Ralph, the other day said that a lady was going to be getting this award. And Ralph, you got me, buddy. Thank you so much for this award. I certainly had no idea it was coming. My wonderful wife, Patricia, of 48 years, and our daughter, Shelby, and grandsons. Agriculture has been a great supporter of our community, a great supporter of our family. My father was a tomato farmer, and a lot of people in this audience. Mr. Wisnett was a good friend of my father's, and Bob Wisnett, and it's just a wonderful award, and I certainly appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Thank you.
Thank you. And if the family will meet over here for some pictures and stuff too. And also, I'd like to thank Johnny and other people on our committee. That's where you'll get your fruits and vegetables off your table from your centerpiece today. And I want to thank y'all for coming out, and I'm going to pass it back over to Brenda.
Just want to say congratulations to John and his family. This is, it truly is an honor when your name is called, and John, you definitely are. I'm really pleased with this honor for you. You answer the call every time. We appreciate that so much. That concludes our program. We're going to turn control back over to our president, Brett, and we thank you very much for being here, and hope that you'll get us on your calendar for next year, the week before Thanksgiving.
Let's give another big hand to Brenda for this great day. You know, what a difference a year makes. I remember last year we had just suffered through Hurricane Irma, and the bounty that was on our plates was not quite like it is today. So, yeah, we had plants. So, you know, that talks about the importance of the agriculture community here in Manatee County and in the state of Florida. And I just want to thank our farmers out there that put the food on the table for us. With that, I want to congratulate Dan Cacciati for being elected to the Board of Directors. Don't forget, the board meeting will be tomorrow at Pier 22. And our club members, please sign up for Kids Against Hunger food packaging event, Christmas tree sales, and don't forget to take a Salvation Army angel person on the tree out there. We appreciate everything that that my club does here in the community. And just to remind us, our Tuesday's meeting next week is canceled because it is a great Thanksgiving week. Would like to thank all of our guests, our elected officials and newly elected officials, and all the dignitaries here today. This is another great example of what Bradenton Kiwanis does. If you're interested in joining our club, please see one of the members. And with that, we are adjourned.